While some people were speaking about how the temple was adorned with costly stones and votive offerings, Jesus said, "All that you see here, the days will come when there will not be left a stone upon another stone that will not be thrown down." Then they asked him, "Teacher, when will this happen? And what sign will there be when all these things are about to happen?" He answered, "See that you not be deceived. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and 'the time has come.' Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for such things must happen first. But it will not immediately be the end." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be powerful earthquakes, famines, and plagues from place to place, and awesome sights and mighty signs will come from the sky. Before all this happens, however, they will seize and persecute you. They'll hand you over to the synagogues and to prisons. They will have you led before kings and governors because of my name. It will lead to your giving testimony. Remember, you are not to prepare your defense beforehand, for I myself will give you a wisdom in speaking that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. You will even be handed over by parents, brothers, relatives, and friends. They'll put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair on your head will be destroyed. By your perseverance, you will secure your lives." The Gospel of the Lord. As we come to the end of the Church's liturgical year, our liturgy presents us with a vision of the future. Uses the words of Jesus. Sometimes scholars call them the eschatological discourses, a big phrase, but it means when Jesus talks about the final things, the end times. And these are found significantly in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and of course today, Luke. But these words are not the easiest to understand. To keep a focus on all this, it does help to recall the phrases that we sing after the consecration of the Mass. Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Christ will come again. We believe that. That's a central doctrine of our faith. When? How? Well, we're given some clues, but as Jesus says in today's gospel, "See that you are not deceived, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and 'the time has come.' Do not follow them." In all these remarks of Jesus, the first major distinction to make is that Jesus is predicting two different events. The first event is the fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple, which actually did happen in the year 70 AD. And then secondly, the end of the world as we know it and the triumphant return of Jesus. Now, at the time he said these words, people presumed that they were all one event, or that one event would follow almost immediately upon the other. And in today's section of the gospel, we have only a short selection from all the remarks of Jesus about these things. In fact, it seems as though the remarks of Jesus that we find in today's gospel seem to refer primarily to the first event, the fall of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple. And I've always been impressed with that particular remark of Jesus when he says of the temple, "The days will come, there'll be not left a stone upon another stone that will not be thrown down." I had a sabbatical semester in the fall of 1992 in Jerusalem. I remember the day I finally came to the Temple Mount. It's a huge platform, if you will, on which the temple once stood. And as I got there, I realized that yes, the temple is gone, all those stones are gone, but the basement of the temple is still there, composed of these huge, huge stones Amazing how these things could have been moved way back in those times, in that day and era. Now, for centuries, this basement wall was called the Wailing Wall, and Jewish people would come from all over to stand at the wall to pray and wail over the loss of their city and the temple. But when the Israelis won the war of 1967, the wall became called the Western Wall, and it's a shrine. It's a place of prayer, and people often come and write their prayers on little pieces of paper and stuff them into the cracks between these huge stones. You may have seen Pope John Paul II do that when he was in Jerusalem. All right, fine. Well, what about the end time then? Well, ever since the days of Jesus, a few people have loved to take the words of Jesus, apply them to their own era and say, oh, these signs are being fulfilled in what is going on right now among us. Years ago, the popular Left Behind series of novels portrayed a possible scenario of the end time. But probably the most noted example of this occurred in American history before the Civil War. William Miller, a Baptist preacher in upstate New York, he studied these remarks of Jesus, the book of Revelation, and the prophet Daniel, and he calculated that Jesus was going to return in his own time, convinced many people, not only in upstate New York, but along the East Coast. And people were getting very excited. They were giving up their jobs and just pausing and praying. One great instance of this was a tailor in Philadelphia posted this sign. He said, "This shop is closed in honor of the King of Kings, will appear about the 23rd of October. Get ready, my friends, to crown him Lord of all."